America is sick with a virus not of COVID, but of racism and classism. I'm grateful Sister Tiffany led us in the reminder that there's still a bomb in Gilead, and that bomb is flowing through Atlanta and flowing through this nation. I want you to join me today in the Word of God in Luke chapter 15. In Luke chapter 15, and I want us to consider just two verses. Verses 8 and 9. And in that, Jesus gives us a parable. It says, suppose there's a woman who has 10 silver coins and loses one. Does she turn on the light, sweep through the house, and search carefully until she finds it? And when she finds it, she calls her friends and her neighbors, saying, rejoice with me, I have found the coin. In the same way, I'm telling you, there's rejoicing in the presence of the angels of God whenever one sinner repents. There's a desperate housewife who loses one of her 10 coins, turns on all the lights, starts sweeping around in corners. When she finally finds it, calls all of her family and her friends together and says, rejoice with me, I have found it. It's the same way when a soul is found, how it is that angels rejoice. On this sunny Sunday morning, I want to preach using as a subject, I feel like I'm losing it. I feel like I'm losing it. According to the CDC, young adults are experiencing the highest rate of mental and emotional exhaustion in American history, due to a cocktail of factors ranging from COVID-19 to the corruption of the criminal justice system. In fact, 1/3 of all Americans have cited symptoms of anxiety and depression since April. Sickness, deaths, riots, looting, disease, and social distancing have seemingly joined forces to team up on our psyche. Your self-esteem is under assault, and sleep seems to be a wandering friend. Dr. Barbara Lipska, who is the director of the Human Brain Collection Corps at the National Institute of Mental Health in Bethesda, Maryland, has spent her entire career analyzing brains. But in 2015, this neurosurgeon lost her own mind. She confesses that she had to ask herself, as many of us have had to do the same, am I sane? Am I being rational right now? Am I being logical? Am I talking too much? Am I making sense? Am I rambling? Am I being distant? Dr. Lipska became terrified by her own thoughts. The reality is you may never lose your mind, but 1 in every 5 adults has a rendezvous with depression, has intercourse with ADD, flirts with PTSD, exchanges a passing fancy with schizophrenia. At one moment in your life or another, you have a crash course with a friend that becomes a foe, and both of them are trapped in your thinking. If 1 out of 5 have some level of emotional distress, I wonder which of the 4 officers in Minnesota can be found guilty. That George Floyd found himself being pinned down in broad daylight by 1 officer, and the other 3 just watched. Was it the insanity of the assailant, or was it the peculiarity of those who just watched and did not lend any assistance? I don't care where it is that you are, what station of life you may find yourself in, somewhere while we've been in quarantine, your mind began to be a terrorist to your own peace. And you didn't know how to fight back, didn't know how to wage war when it was within. I want to offer to you this morning a book by Dr. Lipska entitled The Neuroscientist Who Lost Her Mind, A Tale of Madness and Recovery. And in it, she posits that part of the solution lies in ceasing to distinguish between mental problems and physical problems. The world can't seem to comprehend. What the world can't seem to comprehend is that mental illness is an organ malfunction, and we keep charging it as if it is a character deficiency. You ought to know that in this hour, if somebody has a stroke, God forbid, somebody have a heart attack, we never vilify their character. But when somebody is swimming to the shores of their own sanity, we make it feel as if there is something morally wrong with them. Going through depression, going through anxiety, worry, stress, schizophrenia does not unveil a lapse in morality, but it exposes that you are fully vested in humanity. There's nothing wrong with you because you haven't been able to sleep these couple of weeks. There's nothing wrong with you because you have a unforetold anger. Nothing is wrong with you because you've been robbed of your sleep. Nothing is wrong with you because you have a duality of consciousness. You got to remind God, God, I was made in your image and in your likeness, and just like you can heal somebody from cancer, I have confidence you can heal me from depression, that you can deliver me from worry, that you can clear me from my stress. You got to get to the place where you understand that every person goes through the course of your own life where you feel like I am losing it. Have you ever been there? Where you felt like you were losing it because you just couldn't get peace in your own house? You ever felt like you were just losing it because you just had to sit in the car outside to get yourself together before you went back in? You ever felt like you were losing it because you're trying not to scream at the children you actually love? You ever felt like you were losing it because you uncontrollably began sobbing at a movie that had nothing to do with your circumstance? You ever felt like you were getting ready to lose it, not knowing what was going to happen when you saw blue sirens coming in behind you? You ever felt like you were going to lose it when every day there seems to be a different news story about the aggressive police tactics on people of color? Have you ever felt like you were getting ready to lose it? I'm sure that you have, but I don't want you to feel like you're in it by yourself. There's a mythical woman who's introduced to our imagination by our loving Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. He's talking one day and he's giving a trilogy of snapshots. He talks about a lost sheep, he talks about a lost son, and right in the middle he sandwiches about a lost coin. And when he's talking about this lost coin, he says to those who are hearing him, suppose there's a woman who's got 10 coins. She loses one, turns on the lights, and begins to sweep and vacuum and dust through the house, trying to figure out where she lost it. I want to park here and say, please don't hopscotch too prematurely on the fact that she had 10 coins. Pastor, why are you stopping there? is because these 10 coins in the theology of numerology, you understand that 10 is the number of responsibility. You don't believe it? I want you to go back with me to Genesis chapter 1. Isn't it amazing that the Lord in one chapter said, let there be 10 times? Because he understood that you were getting ready to have dominion, getting ready to have responsibility, getting ready to have authority. Maybe you forgot, go over one book in the book of Exodus when it is that the Lord charges Moses. How many commandments does he have? He's got 10 commandments. Not on what God was supposed to do, but what we are supposed to do. Do the electric slide and jump over the book of Malachi. How much are you supposed to bring into the storehouse of God? 10%, because it's dealing with our responsibility, dealing with what we are accountable for. And here we find this young damsel in Luke, who it is charged with the responsibility of 10 coins. I want you to know that much of your stress, much of your worry, much of your anxiety is not about what you imagine. It is about the realness of what your responsibilities are. You got the responsibility of helping to raise a grown mother. You got the responsibility of having care of an aging parent. You got the responsibility of a special needs child. You got the responsibility of trying to make your budget stretch after you've been furloughed. You got the responsibility of trying to be faithful to your assignment, even while it is that you are shrouded with everything that's been thrown at you that you didn't sign up for. And this woman in Luke chapter 15 got a whole lot of responsibility and loses one. And amazingly, all of us who have come through a church experience, we know this parable, we know this narrative, and we go straight into the pursuit, but we never consider what is going on in her mind the moment she realizes she lost one. What is the immediate panic that's in her, knowing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm supposed to have 10. And she's got a gasp right in her breath. Have you ever had that moment where you felt like you were losing it and you don't know where it is? May not be your mind. It could have been your keys and you getting ready to walk out the door. Could be your cell phone and you just had it a moment ago. It could have been the check you were supposed to deposit. Where is it? And that's what's flooding this woman's mind, because she's got a whole lot of responsibility and we don't even know what all her responsibilities are. She just knows one of the things she's supposed to have responsibility over, she can't find. And she starts turning on lights. This is what the text says. She's turning on lights. Now, here's what's amazing is that Luke chapter 15 is written before Thomas Edison is ever born. She's turning on lights and there are no light bulbs. And so what is the light that she is turning on? You forgot that Jesus is the one telling the story, and Jesus said, I am the light. I'm the light of the world. And so in order for me to find what it is that I lost, I got to find out, y'all ain't going to like it, how do I turn God on? I got to turn God on so that he can show me what I'm missing. He can show me how to navigate, how to manage, how to juggle, and how to take authority over all of my responsibilities. And God said, let there be light. Because he turning on the light, but now we got to find it. Over the last 3 weeks, black people all over the country have been looking for justice, have been looking for equality, have been looking for regulating policing, and we're trying to figure out, where is it? And if you ever lost your keys, ever lost your phone, ever lost a check, you already know as a self-deputized detective, you got to retrace your footsteps to say, where was the last place I had it? And while it is that we are in this trivial pursuit towards justice, while it is that we're trying to find where it is that we can get liberty and justice for all, let's retrace our footsteps and figure out where it is that America dropped it. Did we drop it right outside the Lincoln Memorial? When Dr. King said, I have a dream, and just 3 years later, when it is that he is assassinated on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel, and America found itself in a nightmare. Is that where we dropped it? Did we drop it in 1992 when Rodney King, in the middle of the LA uprising, declared to everybody as a torch of peace, can't we all just get along? Is that where we dropped it? Did we drop it when it is that we elected Donald J. Trump to, in fact, be the head of our union, being the least experienced president in diplomacy in our history? Is that where we dropped it? And I offer to you humbly, that is not where we dropped it. We can't find it because it was never in the Constitution. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal and have the inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And you drop down 7 paragraphs and it gives the caveat, but African Americans are 3/5 of a human being. That's where it was dropped. We keep looking after the emotion where we got to change the law. She's looking all over trying to find it, and with the grace of God is able to discover. And I wish the text would have told us where she dropped it. I wish the text would have told us that she dropped that coin under the bed, because had she done that, I would preach today, stop sleeping on me. If in fact she had dropped it in between the couch, I would be able to preach today that the good news is not on Netflix. I wish I could preach today that she found it in the kitchen, and I would preach for your hearing. We got to warm it up. I wish I could say that she found it in the mailbox, because then I would preach, you got mail. I got nowhere to know where she found it. All I know is it's in the house. I don't know how you feel about it, but you ought to be shouting and jumping on your couch, jumping on your bed, running around your kitchen and hitting your mailbox, because God said everything you looking for is in your house. That's the good news, because over the last 12 weeks, God says, I'm turning your house into a sanctuary. You ain't got to come to New Birth to get this breakthrough. Where it is that you are, the glory is getting ready to be there. I got a problem with the text, and I got a problem with Jesus in telling this text, and I humble myself to argue out loud with him, because here is my issue. My issue is that after she finds it, watch what happens in the corresponding verse. In the corresponding verse, she invites her friends and her family to celebrate with her. Celebrate with me. Why? Because I found the coin. That sounds good, but Jesus never said this is the model of what we ought to do, so that ain't what I'm going to do. And the reason why I'm not going to do it, I only want people celebrating with me, catch this, who help me go look for it. See, there are a whole lot of people who want the benefit of your struggle, the benefit of your sacrifice, but it wasn't with you when it is that you were in panic, wasn't with you while you were in depressed, wasn't with you when you were feeling stressed out. You need people who will be with you when you were getting ready to lose it, when you were getting ready to wave the white flag, getting ready to throw it over the bridge, getting ready to surrender everything. Who will stand with me? And if you can find a couple of people who can say, Pastor, I was with you when you felt like you were in it all by yourself. I was with you when you didn't have enough money to make it happen. I was with you when your spouse walked out on you. I was with you when you didn't recognize your own child. You are not getting ready to lose it. My time is almost up, but I want to give you just one reason to shout, and here's why you got to shout. The reason why you got to shout, New Birth, and I hope you'll shout with me. Please don't let me shout by myself. Is I get to the end of the text only to discover that this woman in Luke chapter 15, hear this, never lost it. She never lost it. She just misplaced it. See, there's a whole lot of stuff you think you have lost. You have not lost it. Watch this, because the wealth of the wicked has been stored up for the just. You have not lost it. God was saving it because you didn't even know you were born for such a time as this. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Don't you dare lose your mind over material stuff, because what the neuroscientists told us is you've got to learn learn how to separate that which is material and that which is real. The coin is not going to be the sum total of who you are. So you might have lost your job, you might have lost a promotion, you might have lost your scholarship, you might have lost your house, but that is not who you are. You got to declare out loud, this joy that I have, the world didn't give it and the world can't take it away. The Bible says the same way she shouted is the same way the angels are shouting. I can't promise you you're going to be debt free. I can't promise you you're going to be millionaires. I can't promise you getting a new house, but I can tell you that if you're saved, you ought to be giving God glory now. If you know him for yourself, you ought to be thanking God that I was sinking deep in sin, very deeply stained within, but the master of the sea, he heard my despairing cry. From the waters he lifted me. Here's your turn. And safe am I. If you feel like God has rescued you when you felt like you were going to lose everything, just say safe. I'm safe in his arms. I'm safe from the storm. I'm safe from the circumstance, and I'm safe from myself. If anybody asks you, what's the matter with me? Tell them I'm saved, I'm sanctified, and I'm running for the Lord. If you're running, shout safe, safe, safe. And that's what I want black men in America to be able to say. After those officers are arrested, safe. After Donald Trump gets out the White House, safe. After my vote is counted, safe. After my business gets off the ground, safe. But in spite of all of that, 2,000 years ago, after they killed him on an old rugged cross, they laid him in the grave. But he got up 3 days later with all power in his hands, and I am safe with dirty police officers. I'm safe with a crazy president. I'm safe with a bad economy. I'm safe even with a crazy family. And I am who I am by the grace of God, and I'm safe. And that's how you ought to feel this morning, knowing that you were getting ready to lose it, but God kept you together. I'm telling you, all things are getting ready to work together for your good. You could have felt like you were right on the edge of losing it and didn't know I had what I needed the entire time.